All right, so Tony Anderson's going to talk a little bit about his latest project. Continuing Forever project.
Forever, yeah. So someone was asking me, what about Care for Kids? This is an organization in Stuttgart that is actually providing the funding for the volunteer work that I'm doing in Rwanda. The project is supporting one laptop per child. These are green machines that basically run a Fedora mix and provide two interfaces, GNOME, the standard one, and Sugar. And Sugar is a more interesting thing because that's the primary software that the children use in the classroom. Problem is, those machines, at the time they were built, storage was incredibly limited. So the maximum available storage is 4 gigabytes total. But a goal was to maintain the content that the children develop on the laptops during the school year, so they would have them as a record at the end. But with 4 gigabytes of storage, they outran the storage space about halfway through the year, and the only teacher's solution was reflash the whole machine, losing all of that content. So what I've been hoping to do in general, this whole situation, is to provide a local server at the school level, which can be accessed by the students' laptops via Wi-Fi. And in this is an Intel NUC, put in a terabyte. Now, in your context, a terabyte is hardly anything at all, but in their context, that's a lot. Okay? Now, what we're looking at is the possibility also of using the Raspberry Pi as the server. It wouldn't have as much capacity as a terabyte, for example, but can provide a substantial amount of data, more than the laptops. Now, where does iRODS come in? Well, concept in Sugar is called the journal or a data store. Data store is a Python class that essentially acts as the file system for the computer. Everything the student does gets stored in this journal, in this data store, not in the local storage. Now, of course, the data store is in local storage, but it's essentially a database format. You can't directly access that data from the machine. You have to do it through this journal activity. The machines were built one laptop per child. So the laptop has a serial number. All of the things that are done by that student are identified by the serial number. But Rwanda didn't have enough money to do that. So right now, they're distributed these laptops in such a way that there are typically 5 users. But all 5 users' data is being recorded under the same name. Well, that's a little bit awkward. So where iRODS can come in is I want to do the ability to copy up to the server from the laptops the files created by the students, identified by metadata, giving their name. And of course, things like the date it was created and so on. So what that means is that on these machines, we need to install iRODS. Now, the other trick here is no internet. Right now, installation schemes for software are all based on the internet. If you don't have the internet, you're in a big trouble. And I spent a lot of yesterday going into classrooms and plugging in directly to the university's internet so that I could get access, because the software, when you're installing it, doesn't know about Wi-Fi connections. You can't say, hey, go over there to EduRoam, because it doesn't know about that, right? So you have to have a direct plug-in so it doesn't have to think about that. Then when you get the manager, network manager installed, okay, you're fine, but you got to get installed first. So anyway, tomorrow's project, which I hope to get some help on, is to install iRODS on the NUC, which is an Intel 64-bit environment, and or the Raspberry Pi, which is an ARM machine, 32-bit. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's now a Raspberry Pi 4 announced maybe 2 days ago, which in fact does support 64-bit. But right now, 32-bit is it. So we've got two environments. Next one is we can probably install from the internet, but I'm not clear about that because right now this thing is set up as a Wi-Fi broadcaster because the laptops need to come in by Wi-Fi. But we do have the Ethernet port. Hopefully we can configure the Ethernet port to be DHCP accepting, and we can therefore get on the university internet here and do the actual install. But I'd like to be able to record the install so later on I can collect those various RPMs or actually this thing is going to be running Ubuntu server, so we'll be doing apt-get, with those repositories. The Raspbian software is based on Debian, and it's ARM, so that's a whole separate ball of wax. So we need to get in to figure that out as well. But when I go out to the field, I need a USB stick that can install the software locally, right? So that's maybe not something we can do tomorrow, but at least we have a path, I hope. So questions?
I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but what was the operating system on the NUC?
On the NUC?
Yeah?
Okay, this one is actually Ubuntu server, 1804,
okay.
and it's 64-bit.
Okay.
Because Ubuntu with the 1804 went to all 64-bit, no 32 anymore. Okay, now the software work is all Python 2.7, although they're trying to migrate to Python 3, but at the moment we're still Python 2.7. So my idea would be that we want to be able to run iCommands from the laptop, but these could be sent up by SFTP, something like that. And so all of the software that is iRODS specific would be on the server. We don't have to worry about what goes on the laptops directly.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Awesome.